Hi everyone, so welcome to the stream today. Really excited for having you on the stream. It's been quite a while since we jump on the stream, and we want to really begin the stream for this session for the last dance for the ICA July 2024 examination. I don't know if my sound is okay. I think my sound should be okay, but I'm getting a feedback here. Let's see if I can deal with that. Yep. Yeah, it should be good now. So, looking at the final examination date for the current syllabus, the 2019 syllabus, and we are in the sixth week, so it means that we are in the middle of the session for the July 2024 examination, and we want to really get ourselves excited and look at the various things that we have to focus on. I want to share with you some key learning strategies and key topics that you have to focus on specific subjects, and how most importantly you have to position yourself for the final examination date, and share some strategies with you. And throughout this week we're going to be coming on the stream and sharing some few things with you to help you to prepare well for the examination, and most importantly be able to pass the exam. I see some of you guys joining. You are welcome. Give us a thumbs up on the video when you join. Most importantly, let me hear from you in the comment section. Which subjects are you sitting for? What are the challenges you have in your subjects? It's also a live Q&A session, because I'm going to be taking some questions from you as I share my thought with you in respect of what I want to discuss on the stream today. So if there are any questions, don't hesitate. Let's see if I can pull up my comments screen here. So if there are any questions, you put it in the chat for me, and then I'll be able to provide you with some answers. Now, so as this is the final examination date, a couple of things that you have to understand. If you're a student, I believe that by now you have seen the ICA question, or what do we call the Chief Examiner's Report for the March 2024 examination. And there had been a lot of things. I'm hearing what? The volume is low? Really? My volume is low. Are you sure your device is low? It's everybody experiencing low sound or low volume or whatever the heck. Let me know. Clement is saying the volume is low. Is anybody else experiencing that? I don't know. Let's see. Let me check from my test screen here. I'm not sure my feed should have a low sound. No, 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 no. I think the volume is normal, so Clement, probably check your device in that regard. Yeah. Okay, Francisca also said yes, please, it's low. Really? Let's see. My sound should not be low. Let's see. Okay, so let me know if it is okay now, because I think it should sound better now. Probably all other things being equal. Let me know if it sounds better now. Uh, uh, uh. I should sound good now. I think so. Okay, it's now better. All right, that's great to hear. I think I gotta open my gain a little bit. Okay, so welcome to the stream today. Let me just quickly do that. And I believe that you have. Okay. It's better now. All right. Thank you very much for the feedback. So I want to share with you a couple of strategies on how you can study some of the subjects and the key topical issues that you have to focus on to position yourself to pass the examination. Because you see, it's important you understand that this is the final examination date, and the examiner is going to be getting excited to be able to do a lot of things to you in the exam hall. So let me know in the comment section, what subjects are you writing? I'm going to be going with the subjects that I received the comments from, or I receive in my chat. So let me know, which subjects are you sitting for? Let me know. And what are the key issues that you would want me to share my thought on, or that you think you have challenges with that you want me to share my thought on quickly. And then I'm going to be providing you with some strategies here from my slide as we get ourselves into this special masterclass today. Now, one thing you must understand, which if you're a follower of my work, I keep saying always, is that you have to be able to really put yourself in a position to study. One of the ways you position yourselves to strategically study is by having a personal study plan. Listen carefully. I did not say timetable. I said study plan. Study plan gives you a breakdown of the topical issues in each of the subjects that you are writing, so that each day when you pick the subject, you know exactly which topic you are going to be treating for that day. So the first sign of you positioning yourself, studying effectively, is for you to have a study plan. Now, this study plan is going to be breaking down the subjects. So let's give an example. Let's say you are writing public sector accounting and finance. I see some of them in the feed there. So let's say you are writing public sector accounting and finance. That's the subject you are writing. Okay. So what is the scope of public sector accounting and finance? Right. Question 1, what we have there is conceptual framework. Now, conceptual framework in question 1 for general purpose financial statement covers a number of things: measurement basis, accounting basis, accounting principles or accounting concepts. Then we're going to be talking about the issue in respect of qualitative characteristics of financial statements and some IPSAS issues. Now, that is question 1. Question 2 is going to be on preparation of the financial statements, and that can be whatever financial statement. It can be the statement of financial performance, statement of financial position, the cash flow statement, or the examiner can get excited for you to go in to prepare a financial statement for any other entity in the question, any other public sector entity or covered entity. So you can be asked for the consolidated fund financial statement preparation, or you are going to be preparing the financial statement for a covered entity. It could be a public school, a public hospital, it could be a local assembly, or whatever the heck that the examiner wants to get goosebumps on. But this is what you need to understand. To be able to excel in that question 2 part, there are a lot of topics that you need to understand. The first one is revenue management and expenditure control. I say this always because under revenue management and expenditure control, you learn about the various sources of revenue to the central government, the various sources of revenue to the various public sector entities or covered entities. And so under revenue management and expenditure control, you learn revenue. Then you're going to be looking at the expenditures as well that covered entities will have, that we will also have on the consolidated fund. The beauty of this is that no matter where we are at, the expenditures are almost likely going to be the same. It's the revenue items that is where we're going to be having problem when we move from the central government to other covered entities like the local assembly, public school, public hospital, and those things. But that is question 2, revenue management. Then the second thing is going to be IPSAS. Whether you like it or not in the exam hall, if you're writing public sector accounting and finance, you would have to apply the IPSAS principles. You got to apply that. Now, what kind of IPSAS here? Whether you like it or not, you're going to be applying IPSAS 23, revenue from non-exchange transaction. IPSAS 9, revenue from exchange transaction. You're going to be dealing with IPSAS 17, that is property, plant, and equipment. IPSAS 12, inventories. And then IPSAS 4, accounting policies, changes in accounting estimates, and errors. So these 5 IPSAS, like no-go area. You need to understand them. You need to understand them. So if you follow the play well, if you follow the discussion well, you will realize that it means if I'm preparing a study plan, I'm breaking the topics down in this manner. Then I look, okay, how many weeks do I have? What is my day like? Okay, so from Monday to Friday, what time do I have to wake up? What time do I have to leave home? What time do I have to get to work? Okay, the whole week, Monday to Friday, what are my free periods? When am I free? From, after dealing with the issue in respect of my work, maybe you are married, so your wife, your husband, your children, after dealing with all that, how many hours or how much time do you have at your disposal? And so based on that, you now put together a study plan. So you break down the topics. And I'm seeing other topics or other subjects. I'm going to be coming to some of them in a moment. So you're breaking down into those topics. The reason why you need a study plan is that way, when you pick the book, you know exactly what you are supposed to study that day, that time. That's the first thing. But if you just have on your timetable, today I'm doing public sector, tomorrow I'm doing financial reporting, today I'm doing this, tomorrow I'm doing that. Now, when you pick financial reporting, what the heck are you going to study? Like, what the heck are you going to read? Are you getting the picture here? But if you break the course down into its major topics, then you structure your study plan like that. So when you pick the book, yes, today you have public sector, but what in public sector? Maybe you are doing financial statement preparation. What in public sector? Maybe you are doing some of the IPSAS. What in public sector? Maybe you are doing public procurement. What in public sector? Maybe you are doing public-private partnership arrangement. What in public sector? Maybe you are doing revenue management and expenditure control. So you need a study plan. Why is this important? Because you see, to pass the examination, you have to study. If you're a follower of my work, I've said this over and over again. There are some of you, we are in the 6th week, but you've not started studying. You've not taken up the arm to start studying. But you want to write the exam in July. Like you are geared towards sitting for the exam in July. Probably you want to write maybe 4 subjects, 3 subjects, or 2 subjects. My question is, how prepared are you? Because you see, the examination is going to favor the people who have prepared. And I don't care whoever the heck you are. Whatever you are telling yourself that, I will take leave 2 weeks and I will attend intervention classes and boom, I'll pass the exam. May I suggest to you, you're going to fail woefully. Because you cannot use 1 week to try to go through the syllabus. The purpose of intervention classes, revision master classes, is to help people who have been studying, to help them to cross the line properly. But here you are not studying. And a week to the exam, 2 weeks to the exams, you want to cram everything and miraculously go to the exam hall to pass the exam. But that is not going to happen. So you need a study plan which you can follow consciously. This is very important. That's the first thing you must understand. You need a study plan, then you follow it consciously. And I tell you this, don't make it complicated. Some of you think it's about sitting down 3 hours to study. Oh, sure, I don't have time. No, it's not about sitting down 3 hours. Sometimes it's just 30 minutes. This is the thing. It is not how long you study. It is how effective your study session is. Let me take that again. It's not how long you study. It's how effective your studying session is. So some of you, one of the problems you have is memory. I've had students, I've been in the game over a decade, so I've seen it all, I've heard all. I've had students tell me, Nhyira, oh, I learn, and by the time I get up behind the book, I can't remember anything. And I'm like, holy cow. Let's look at it. Where the heck were you studying? What the heck were you doing when you were studying? So it's not about the length of time, it's about the quality of it. So let me give you an example. Let's say you are studying, right? You sit down, you are studying. Then your internet is on and the phone is by you, but you're not using the phone to do research or whatever it is. Maybe you're studying on your laptop or you're going through some books or some questions, but your phone is lying beside you or is beside you. And so Kukwa sent you a message. Then, Kuni, you look at it. Then some other high school and other useless WhatsApp groups that you are into, they send a message. Then you pick the phone. Hey, oh, look at this. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh. Then you catch yourself and you're like, oh, I'm studying. Then you put the phone down. Then you go back to the studies. Then after 5 minutes, Kuni. After 3 minutes, Kuni. After 2 minutes, Kuni. You are not studying. What are you doing? You are chatting. So you realize that you can sit down 3 hours saying you are studying, but all your attention had been on the phone. All your attention had been on the useless WhatsApp messages that they've been sending into the useless group that you never comment in. I don't know why people do that though, but you are in a group, you never comment in the group doesn't add any value to you, but for some reason you are in the group. You wake up and 5,000 messages and it's distracting you, but you're still there. So you have to remove distractions in your study environment. That's it. So now when you prepare the study plan, you need to have a conducive environment. You cannot be studying and be receiving messages on your phone. You cannot be studying and the TV is on. You cannot be studying and people are running in the background. You cannot be studying and the whole place is noisy. You cannot be studying and your wife is cooking or your mommy is cooking and the aroma from the kitchen is just, coming around you. You are salivating and you are like, No, you are not studying. Because you see, psychologically, you need to be focused in what you're doing. And you could be distracted due to the aroma or the smell around you. So if you pick a book and you're studying, but your wife is cooking or your mommy is cooking and the aroma is coming in, like that time your brain is doing you, I will eat. So you're learning IFRS 9. It's not going. Don't deceive yourself. It's not going anywhere because smell, your senses influence the way information stick in your brain. So study plan, number 1. Number 2, you need to study in a conducive environment. I don't know how you're going to pull that off, but find it. That's the second thing. Your environment is important. And take this from me, it is not how long you study. It is the effectiveness or the quality of the study period. So if it is 30 minutes, no nonsense, no noise around you, nothing is going on around you, 30 minutes, focus. You are not receiving any useless messages from anybody, from any WhatsApp group or other things. 30 minutes, 45 minutes, you're going to be good. And if that comes together over a period of time, you will put yourself in the position to understand the principles of the syllabus. Then you go to the exam hall, you'll be able to pass the exam. Because most of you are on the agenda that, what is the examiner bringing? Nhyira, so which accounting standard is the examiner going to bring? You see, when people ask such questions, I feel like, probably knocking them, give them a big knock. What kind of lazy question is that? The examiner doesn't owe you any duty. Once the thing is in the syllabus, he can ask you. So your only responsibility is not to think about what the examiner will bring in the exam hall. It is about knowing the syllabus, understanding the principles, exposing yourself to questions, working on your timing, working on your heart rate, working on your tempo, working on your handwriting. These are the things that you can control and position yourself to be able to pass the examination. So prepare a study plan, number one. Number two, you need to study in a conducive environment. I cannot overemphasize this. I don't care where the heck you live, but you got to organize yourself in a manner that if you are studying, you are studying. No WhatsApp messages. Okay, now all devices, I don't know what the heck of device you're using though, but most devices now have what is called the focus mode, right? Where you can just put it there. That way you can set a time period. No calls will come in, no messages will come in. So your data can be on, because probably you are using the phone for research, but your data can be on, but you will not receive notification from certain applications. You can set all of these things on your phone so that your data is on, but the notifications will not come because you are using the phone for research or checking something online. That way, after the session, after your studies, then you can turn off the focus mode. Then you can see all those useless messages that will not add any value to your life, but you still receive them. So you need that conducive environment consciously. Number three is for you to study at your peak time. Listen. Some of you study at the time you are not supposed to be studying. You go to work. You are stuck in traffic back home. You get home 10 p.m. You eat banku and tilapia, or banku and okra stew, or kenke and chinalo. 10 p.m. Then you bath. Then you sit on your bed and you pick a book that you are studying. No, you see, sometimes when you do some things, do you assess it? How do you get to home late? You are tired. You ate banku and okra stew, or banku and tilapia, or kenke chinalo, bath, sit on your bed, and pick a book that you are studying. What are you doing to yourself? Your peak time is when you are mentally, emotionally, psychologically stable. And in this day and age, you have to create that consciously. Because most of you, your problem is, you study, but the thing doesn't stick. You study, but you don't seem to understand what you are studying. It's because you might be studying at a wrong time. If you open the book and you are studying and you are thinking about your husband, something your husband did to you, or something your wife did to you, or something your girlfriend did to you, or maybe your boyfriend did to you, or something someone said to you, you are behind the book, but you are thinking about those things. Oh, your bills, a new shoe you want to buy, a new car you want to buy. You are not going to study and remember anything, because as a matter of fact, the book is before you, but your mind is on something else. So although you might be reading, yes, you might be studying, you will not learn anything. So number one, prepare a study plan. I need you to do this. Number two, create a study environment that is devoid of noise, devoid of anything that will be uncomfortable to you. Number three, make sure you are studying at your peak time, when you are emotionally, mentally, psychologically, spiritually aligned. And as I said, you have to create it. Because nobody gets up and get excited to learn. Like, I don't know about you though, but I don't get excited to study. I don't get excited to jump on the stream. I don't get excited. But I got to create my mind. Like, I got to create that environment. I got to say, hey, listen, from this time to this time, Nhyira, you cannot think about anything. Nhyira, you cannot do anything else. Nhyira, any calls that comes, you cannot pick at the time. And boom, I zoom in and I'm working. I zoom in and I am working. So you study at your peak time. Now, peak time will vary from everyone. Some people do well in the dawn, right? That is from 3 a.m. to around 5 a.m. If that is your spirit, it's good. But you know, those are the time that the sleep too is nice. Especially these days that it is raining. Around 2 a.m. thereabouts, you see that the weather has become cozy and the sleep is getting exciting. How the heck do you wake up to study? You feel like, covering your whole body with a blanket, and then, you just want to sleep. But if that is your power, you have to leverage on it. Some people do well in the evenings, right? Some people do well in the afternoon. My take for you is find your peak time, but most importantly, you have to create it. And for ladies, I say this always, because ladies, you go through cyclical, periods because of menstrual cycle and those things. There are periods in your menstrual cycle where you don't feel like doing anything. Okay? Like you are moody. Nothing has happened, but you are angry. It's a hormonal changes that is happening to you. In those times, you can't study. Even if you pick the book, like Omiefu, like you pick the book now, you're angry. It's a period. It's a hormonal change that is going on. Then there are certain times in your menstrual cycle also, you realize that you are active, you are outgoing, you are rejoicing, like you are analyzing, you are questioning things. You have to identify those periods so that you schedule a lot of your studies, a lot of your workflows into those periods, because those times there are hormonal changes that are coming in that is making you more exciting, more active, and your brain is so, fertile, if I can say that, and your memory level is superb. It's normal. It's a process that you go through. But you have to find out so that if you are in a period where you feel moody, nobody has done you anything, but you are angry. Yes, you can't change it. It's part of your menstrual cycle, right? So it means those times you can't do much about studying because mentally you are not stable. Like, not that you are not stable, like you are mad though, but like you don't feel like doing it. Then other periods where you are active, your brain is coming in, you are outgoing, do a lot in those periods. Now for my guys, your problems already. Guys, we don't have that menstrual cycle, whatever the heck. But also there are experiences that we have in that case. All I'm saying is that make sure nothing is on your mind when you pick the book to study. Because if something else is on your mind, you cannot focus. And this is what I tell my students always, for instance, on our live calls. You have joined a class, you are on the live call, but you're eating banku in the background. You are on the live call, but you are chatting with somebody on the background or in the background. You are on the live call, but your children have surrounded you. What are you doing? Studying? No. Because they have surrounded you, you are talking, you are chatting, you are having fun. Then you say, oh, in your class, me work class. No, you are not in class. You are having family meeting. You are better off leaving the meeting, focus and spend time with your children, with your spouse, with your family. Later on, watch the playback of the video. That is better. Because there is a delusional thing that people have about multitasking. There is nothing like multitasking. So you cannot be studying and be chatting with somebody in the background, be doing something else in the background, and expect that what you are studying will stick. It will not happen. Please. So that is why I always tell my students, I say, hey, listen, if you're on the call, be on the call. Because sometimes assignment is given, and I'm marking the assignment. And I know exactly that this person, I saw the person's name in the call throughout, on the live call throughout. Then assignment is given. Then you look at the kind of answers the person is writing, or some of the people are writing, and you're like, I didn't say this in class. How the heck are you writing it? We didn't say this in class. How the heck are you coming up with this? And so for the most part, people are in the class, but they are not in the class. And it breaks my heart a lot, because attention is very key. I've experienced this a couple of times where I go to the gym and we are training, and somebody has joined class. The lecturer is teaching, but the person has joined the class. The lecturer is teaching, put the phone down, goes and bench press. Then they come and check their phone. Then they put it down again. Bench press. I'm like, so you are just on the live call to register your presence, but you are rather training in the gym. You are bench pressing. You are eating banku and tilapia. You are doing something else in the background. Who the heck are you fooling? Like, who are you fooling? And so I really want you to be mindful of attention focus. If you're not ready to study, don't open the book. But if you are ready, I want you to study and go the extra mile, because that is what you need to understand. So number one, prepare a study plan. Number two, make sure that you work on your environment. Some of you have a very contagious environment in a negative manner. Number three, study at the time that you are mentally, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically in sync with yourself. Do not have anything on your mind and be studying. This is very important. Because you see, sometimes people think that if they study and they cannot remember, like there is a demon after them. And because of the part of the world that we are at, every useless thing, we put it on the devil. Oh, it is my house people. It is witches. It is wizard. Listen, I tell people this. The devil doesn't know your address. As a matter of fact, the devil doesn't know you exist. Okay? The devil can only come, and he came for just some few people. Adam and Eve, because of their ranking. All right? Job, because of his ranking. Jesus Christ, because of his ranking. Who the heck are you for the devil to bother you? It's your laziness and your indecisiveness that is making you not to become successful. So I really want you to be disciplined. Be disciplined. So the fourth point is discipline. Because once we have our study plan, we organize our environment, and we have identified where and when to study, the fourth thing is discipline. How many of you study in the course of the week? Most of you don't. My students tell me that always. You don't study in the week. You come for lectures, that is all. It ends there. The following week, that is where you open the book. What are you doing to yourself, my friends? What are you doing? Oh, Nhyira, I'm busy. Nhyira, my work, the way I'm busy, I have to leave home 7 and I'll come home 10 p.m. Nobody cares. I know that is not what you want to hear. You want me to empathize with you. Yes, listen, empathy doesn't help anybody in the world. Because as I tell you always, if the ICA sits down and they are setting the exams, they don't say, oh, by the way, 70% of our students are busy people. So because of that, let's set a question in the manner that if they do something small, no, they will pass. No, they don't do that. So nobody cares about your busyness. So if you think you are busy, maybe stop the ICA and focus on your life. But if you really want to pass this examination and take your life to the next level because you know the reason why you are doing it, then you have to discipline yourself. On the altar of success, there must be a sacrifice. You got to discipline yourself. Maybe it could be the number of hours you sleep. Maybe it could be cutting out some social activities. Maybe it could be reducing contact hours with your friends. Maybe it could be uninstalling some applications on your phone because they are destructive to you. I cannot tell you exactly what you must do, but you need to identify all distractions, remove them, and discipline yourself. Because listen, I don't think you should write the exam 2 times. I don't think you should fail the examination. That's my opinion. I don't think you should fail the exam. If you spend time to study, you are part of a community, and you are studying under the mentorship of people who can guide you well, you shouldn't fail the exam. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. So I really want to impress on you. Prepare the study plan. Check your study environment. Work on your mental, spiritual, psychological sync, and make sure you study always during that time, peak time. But number 4, I need you to discipline yourself. If you have the study plan and from this time to this time you are supposed to study. Oh, my favorite program is Air, I have to go and watch. Hey, I don't want to miss it because tomorrow when I go to work, my colleagues will be talking about this show and I can't say anything. Like, are you okay? Sometimes when I hear people's excuse for not being able to achieve their goals, it's sort of, I wonder if they are even serious about their life. So you are suspending your studies. You are suspending your life because of a TV show, so that when you go to work, when your friends or your colleagues are talking about that show, you can also say some. Do you know that show had already been recorded and all the actors in that show have been paid and they are somewhere chopping their money? See, I'm not saying don't watch movies. I love movies. I watch movies on Netflix, Apple Plus TV, on Amazon Prime. I love movies. All right? I love it. But you cannot suspend your life for a TV show so that you can share the news and discuss it at work. When your life sucks, when you hate your job, when you don't like the life you are living, when you want to take your life to the next level, what the heck are you doing suspending your studying just because you want to watch a program? Listen, discipline is the key to success. There is no witch or wizard behind you. As I said, you've not reached that level for the devil to come after you. It is your own mind playing games with you, and you have to be decisive and decide that, hey, listen, I got to be focused. I have to be deliberate. I need to work hard, because if I work hard, write this exam as soon as possible, pass my exam, I can take my life to the next level. I can travel around the world and I can enjoy all the shows around the world. Discipline is key. So you want to pass the examination, got to discipline yourself. Got to make some sacrifices. So prepare a study plan, work on your environment, make sure you study at the time that you are mentally, spiritually, psychologically stable, in sync. Number 4, discipline yourself. I'm seeing some questions coming in with some subjects specific as well. Let's see if I can take some of them quickly as we get into the discussion. Okay. Let's see what I have here. All right. I think we've dealt with this. It's better now. Okay. It's okay. Who the heck? Vet 20 said, Vet 20 model TV, CR, okay. Who the heck? Sumaila, FR and PSA, okay. Kingsley Kikali, FR PSA, okay. What? Bond valuation. I think that is in financial management. Is that what you're saying? Abigail said FR and PSA. Okay, so a lot of FR and PSA students. How to study the accounting standards. Okay, that's an interesting one. Now, okay, so let me quickly start with some of them and then we go. So, financial reporting, how do you pass financial reporting? Number one, you need to understand the structure of the exam and the scope of the syllabus, right? That's the first thing we need to talk about and know about in that regard. So what is the structure of our exam? Question number one is on consolidated financial statements. Question number two, accounting standards. Question number three, single entity financial statements. Question number four, ratio analysis. Question number five, theory and some ethical issues in the exam hall. But most importantly, corporate reporting, financial reporting, your ability to pass the exam is dependent on your ability to understand the accounting standards. So to the question that Kingsley is asking, how do I study the accounting standards? I think I've said this over and over again, but this is it. You must understand that the accounting standards are intertwined. The accounting standards are connected with each other. In other words, the accounting standards are not just on their own that you can cherry pick. They are connected to each other. For instance, if we take IAS 16, property, plant, and equipment, it's divided into two. That is initial measurement and recognition, and then subsequent measurement. Stay with me. On the initial measurement of property, plant, and equipment, that is assets used for the day-to-day running of the organization, there are a number of accounting standards that you must know, which helps us in the initial measurement of the asset. Because IAS 16 states that the initial cost of an asset shall be the purchaser's cost or the construction cost plus all other directly attributable costs incurred in bringing the asset to its present use. Okay, key word there is all other directly attributable costs incurred in bringing the asset to its present use. And so the question we then have to ask ourselves is, what are some of these other directly attributable costs? One, borrowing cost, IAS 23. So when an entity borrows money to construct a qualifying asset, then the borrowing cost or the interest expenses on the loan must be included in the initial cost of the asset based on the capitalization principle, taking into consideration any investment income earned during the capitalization period. Number two, dismantling cost. If the asset is installed and the entity would have to incur some cost in the past to decommission or dismantle or restore the place that the asset was at the end of its economic useful life, then it has to also be included in the initial cost of the asset. And that is IAS 37, provisions, contingent liabilities, and contingent assets. And so we have to discount that amount payable in the future into present terms and include that present value figure in the initial cost of the asset. Right? That's it. Number three, if the entity is constructing an asset or building an asset and the entity happens to pay some employees who are working on the building, working on the structure, then the wages and salary paid to these employees must be included in the initial cost of the asset in accordance with IAS 19, employee benefit. Number four, as part of the construction, the entity is going to be buying some inventories, some materials. And so what should be the cost of the material to be included in the initial cost of the asset, especially if it is the entity's own raw materials that they are using for the building? We go to IAS 2. Inventory shall be carried out lower of cost than net realizable value. So we compare the cost and the net realizable value. The lower of the two will be the cost of the material that will be included in the initial cost of the item that we are constructing. 5, If it happens that the entity purchased the asset from a foreign currency and the transaction is denominated in a foreign currency, then it means that we have to translate the foreign currency or the transaction denominated in a foreign currency into the functional currency of the entity. The process of doing that is enshrined in IAS 21, effects of changes in exchange rate. So you see, I hope you are seeing the picture that I'm painting. That's why I said my opening statement was the accounting standards are intertwined. And so if you tell me, yeah, I have learned IAS 16, okay. Do you know how IAS 37 connects to initial measurement? Do you know how IAS 23 connects? Do you know how IAS 2 is connecting? Do you know how IAS 21 is connecting? Do you know how IAS 19 is connecting? And then do you know how IAS 20, government grant? Because when we qualify for government grant or the entity receives a government grant for the asset, there are two ways we can account for government grant: the deferred income approach, which is the default approach, or the net off approach, where the government grant received or receivable will be deducted in arriving at the initial cost of the asset. And so you realize that at the initial measurement, you are seeing sort of 6 accounting standards coming in. So to your question, how do I study the accounting standards? You must understand first that the accounting standards are not on their own. They are connected with each other. So when I'm doing IAS 16, all these standards are coming in under initial measurement. Then I go to subsequent measurement of the asset. Now, on subsequent measurement in accordance with IAS 16, the entity can decide to carry the asset at the cost model or the revaluation model. Irrespective of the method they are carrying the asset at, we have to test for impairment at least at the end of the at least once a year, because IAS 16 states that an asset cannot be carried above its recoverable amount, which is in accordance with IAS 36 as well. So on the subsequent measurement, IAS 36 is coming to town, impairment of assets. And we say that an asset has suffered an impairment when the recoverable amount is less than the carrying amount. So IAS 36 is coming to town. Number 2, entities would have to account for the tax consequences of transactions. And so on subsequent measurement of property, plant, and equipment, we would have to calculate the deferred tax implication of probably revaluation of assets or, restatement of assets. And that could result into deferred tax assets, deferred tax liability because of a taxable temporary difference or deductible temporary difference. And that is IAS 12. On subsequent measurement coming to town on the asset. Number 3, on subsequent measurement of assets, an entity may say that, this asset, we don't want to use it again. We want to rent it out as under an operating lease, or a portion of this asset, we don't want to use it for our office any longer. We are moving to a new office. So this one, we are going to rent it out under an operating lease. What are they doing? They are moving for owner-occupied assets and non-owner occupied assets. And that is IAS 40, investment property coming to town. Are you seeing the picture? So all these are under subsequent measurement. Another one, the entity might say, hey, where we are at, we are trying to reorganize, we are trying to restructure. For that reason, we want to get rid of some of the assets that we have. We want to sell some of the assets and raise some money. So management has decided to sell the asset. The asset has been decommissioned and available for sale. The entity has located or is looking for a buyer, and they expect the sale to end or to be closed at the end of the accounting period. That is IFRS 5, non-current asset held for sale and discontinued operation. And so that is the beauty of the accounting standards. I know some of you, these things that I'm saying, they are sounding like, plenty. But you see, if you look at the way the accounting standards are intertwined, it's just beautiful. So that's how you study the accounting standards. Like knowing them in their rights, but most importantly, connecting them so that if I'm doing IFRS 5, I should know that subsequent measurement of IAS 16 implication is there. So it makes me to have the principle and let it stay with me. All right. If I'm doing IAS 12 income tax, I should know that it has connection with other accounting standards. IFRS 2 share-based payment. This is for corporate reporting students. It has some relationship with other accounting standards. So I need to know the principles and apply it when it is called upon in the other accounting standard. That's the beauty of the accounting standards. So you realize that talking about just IAS 16, initial measurement and subsequent measurement is bringing up about 11 or 12 accounting standards, adding up to the IAS 16, making 13. That's it. That is how you study the accounting standard. And it's beautiful. I know you will say it's not beautiful, but I don't know. It's beautiful. And this is one thing you must understand. Whether I like it or not, at least 2 of the non-current assets accounting standards will be in the exam hall. Like you have a dedicated question on them. And these are the standards that I mentioned to you earlier under the initial measurement and subsequent measurement. The government's grants, IAS 16, 23, dealing with the issue in respect of IAS 36, IAS 38, whether I like it or not, at least 2 of them will be in the exam hall waiting for you. Now, for those of you in financial reporting, whether I like it or not, IAS 16, you have to know everything there. And IAS 12, you have to know everything there. Whether I like it or not, you need it. And so if you follow it carefully, IAS 16 alone has connection with 11 or 12 other accounting standards. And that's the beauty of the accounting standards. So how do you study? Yes, study the accounting standards and understand the principles in their own right. But know that the accounting standards are intertwined. So you cannot just say, I have finished with this accounting standard. No, you cannot say that. You need to know how to apply or use the principle from the accounting standard in another question that requires another accounting standard. Because for some time, or there are times when in answering the final account question, financial reporting students, you would have to apply like 6-7 accounting standards. The examiner can give you a footnote, and in that footnote, you have to apply maybe 3 or 4 accounting standards because there is IAS 16 in there. There is an impairment situation in there, IAS 36, impairment of assets, and there could be some other things, tax implication, deferred tax implication there, IAS 12. So in just a single footnote, you got to call on 3 or 4 accounting standards. So how do you study it? Know the principles in their own right. Number 2, understand that the standards are interconnected and know how each of the standards connect with another. Then you need to expose yourself to questions, right? Expose yourself to questions. The more questions you solve, when I say expose yourself to questions, I don't expect you to go and buy ICAG past questions or go download the ICA past questions. Yeah, you can do that, but most importantly, look at the ICA question kit, look at questions from various other sources, expose yourself to questions. And number 4, solve the questions under time. Because time is going to be your enemy in the exam hall, and the only way you can get over it is to solve the questions under time. Consciously. Okay? I cannot overemphasize this. Consciously, under time. So you set your stop clock on, and it's each one mark question is actually going to be how do we call it? Each 1 mark question will actually be around 1.8 minutes. So 1 mark is for 1.8 minutes. So if the question you're solving is 5 marks, you just multiply 5 by 1.8. And then you see the time. Then you set the time up and then you go. That is the idea about that. So you have to solve the questions under time. So understand the principles of each accounting standard. So you have to be open to study. That's the first thing. Number two, understand that they are interconnected. Very important in that particular case. Then certainly make sure that you work on yourself and expose yourself to questions, and it should be good. It should be good. So if you ask me how the heck do you study the accounting standards, Kingsley, and to all the AFR squad, this is what I can say. Okay? This is what I can say. And bringing the financial reporting discussion home, is that if you master the accounting standards, that is done deal 45 marks waiting for you in the exam hall. Listen carefully. Done deal, 45 marks waiting for you. You will get a 20-mark question on the accounting standards, 20 marks on the single entity financial statement. All the footnotes you have to apply accounting standards. And then there will be a 5-mark question written on the accounting standards. So 45 on the accounting standards. But it doesn't end there. Because when you are doing consolidation, question 1, you're still going to be applying the accounting standards. And sometimes in ratio, the examiner may call on you to readjust the financial statements and then be able to now calculate the ratios. And when you are readjusting the financial statements, you have to call on the accounting standards. So really, the accounting standards are the anchor that holds the financial reporting examination. And this goes to corporate reporting students as well in that case. So Kingsley and financial reporting squad, that is what I'll tell you. Now, specifically on how to study financial reporting generally, what I would say is that understand the conceptual framework, number 1. Understand ethics, number 2. Understand ratios, okay, calculation of the ratios, and most importantly, the interpretation of the ratios. That's where the meat is, your ability to be able to interpret the profitability ratios, the liquidity and working capital ratios, the gearing ratios, the investors ratios, the principles that govern how you explain these things. Very important, right? So ratios, so conceptual framework, ethics, ratios. Then the standards. Listen, I want you to do consolidation as your last but one. And this goes into your study time as well as your in the exam hall. Okay, consolidation is going to require time. But the way you are going to be very easier on consolidation is if you are strong in the accounting standards. Generally, that's the rule. So spend the time to know the accounting standards very well, because if you understand the accounting standards very well, 45% guaranteed waiting for you in the exam hall. Now, somebody will ask, okay, so Nhyira, the accounting standards are plenty. Which one should I focus on? I can't answer that question. When you get to the exam hall, you ask the examiner, because he will give you the question paper and the answer to what you are looking for will be there. So understand the accounting standards. You should be good. Okay, you should be good. All right, so what else do I have? Let me know, Kingsley, if that was helpful. What else do I have? Okay. Clement said, I'm writing corporate reporting. My challenge is the consolidated financial statement and some of the standards. You are writing corporate reporting and your challenge is consolidation. Okay, it's a challenge. It makes sense. It makes sense. But as I said in the financial reporting class, in the financial reporting discussion, what exactly is your challenge in consolidation? it means you are weak in the accounting standards. Because consolidation is just bringing the accounting standards together generally. Because if you don't understand the accounting standards, you don't understand conceptual frameworks and the way general issues are supposed to be dealt with, certainly you're going to screw it up. I can guarantee you that. Like, you're going to screw it up. So I don't know what you mean by challenges, and some standards. I don't know what the heck standards do, but you got to be strong in the accounting standards. Okay? You have to be strong in the accounting standards because there is ratio analysis, cash flow analysis, common size analysis. All that is there. There is business valuation, conceptual framework. Did I say conceptual framework? Business valuation, and then corporate restructuring. Okay? Then you come to the accounting standards. The accounting standards. If you are strong in the accounting standards, consolidation should not be an issue, baby, like that, in my opinion. So I don't know what exactly the challenge is. Maybe if you give me something specific, I can work with that in that case for you. Abigail said, I'm Nigerian. My exam is starting on 14th May. Oh, 14th May is when? That's tomorrow. We wish you all the best, Abigail. I hope you have studied. We wish you all the best. Okay. Who is this? Jacqueline said, Banku and tilapia. Wow, it's your favorite food, eh? You people, you like. Precious said, Banku for energy to... How can you eat banku and tilapia and think you can study? Eh? That energy is not energy, Precious. Like, that energy is not energy. But that banku and tilapia is not energy. You're just going to doze off and like that. But I know somebody will say, hey, Nhyira, when I eat banku and tilapia, that's why I'm, off to study. Hey, you lie, Papa. You can lie. You finish eating banku and okra stew. Or banku and tilapia. Charlie, you had the onions in, have all the skirmishes around, and you finish eating that. And immediately, you pick a book to study. Wow. You're a genius. You're a genius. Is that, can you explain how I maintain time in the exam hall for CR? As I said, if you have time problem, it means you don't know, period. So you have to be able to reduce the time between when you read a question and you're answering. So if it takes you longer to come up with the answer and to write it out, then you're going to spend more time on the question. So time management, if I can say that, in the exam hall, is actually dependent on what you do during your studies time. That's why I was telling you, solve questions under time. That's why I was telling you, make sure you understand the principles. Because when you understand the principles and you have been practicing questions under time, when you get to the exam hall and you read the question, you can call the principle as quick as possible and know how you are supposed to answer the question. But the reason why the time is always not enough in the exam hall is that when you read the question, it takes time for you to understand the requirements of the question and even call on which principle you have to apply in the question. So it's not about the exam in the exam hall. It's about what you do whilst studying, what you do whilst practicing questions. That is what position you to effectively optimize your time in the exam hall. So, Johnny, it's not about what is in the exam hall. It's about what is outside the exam. Because if you can reduce the time between when you read a question and understanding and starting to answer, then you will not have time problem in the exam hall. But the reason you have time problem is because you read a question and you don't really understand the question. Sorry. You don't understand the question, and so the principle to call on becomes a little bit difficult in that regard. So that is what I would say there for you. Work on the time through your studies, through the questions you are solving, and when you get to the exam hall, you know the principles very well, you are solid based on them. Once you read a question or you start reading the stories, principles will start popping in, and you reduce the amount of time you have to allocate for each question. So it is not about what happens in the exam hall, it's about what you do during your studies. Does that make sense? So that's what you must understand there. Noella said, how can I study for my exam in a short period of time? Oh, goodness and mercy, Noella. You see, let me be realistic with you, and I don't know what you mean by for a short period of time, though, but there is no shortcut to the exam. But it's about discipline. So let's say you have just 3 weeks to study, or maybe 2 weeks to study. If you can discipline yourself throughout that 2 weeks, consciously study, focus on key topics under the mentorship of a good educator, you can pass the exam. I've seen people doing that. Some of my high-end clients who pay top dollars for such services, like no nonsense, 2 weeks, really focusing on key topics, no distractions, no other extra curriculum activities, studying, 2 weeks, you can pass the exam. So, Noella, if you ask how, my question will be, it all depends on discipline, number one. Number two, you have to know what key issues you have to optimize yourself to be able to pass the exam. So what are the key topics you have to really focus on to optimize yourself to pass the exam? But really, discipline is the key. Discipline, because it means that you cannot do other things. You cannot have time for other things. All the time you have must be focused on something specific that you are doing during that period. So it's possible. The how is discipline. Number two, knowing the key topics in the subject you want to write that you have to focus on to optimize your chances of passing the examination. So that's what I would say, Noella, if that is helpful. Isaka said, which of the accounting standards are for FR, not CR? I don't understand. All the accounting standards in financial reporting are applicable in corporate reporting. But there are certain accounting standards that are exclusive to corporate reporting, and these are IAS 19 employee benefit, IFRS 2 share-based payment, IFRS 8 operating segment. These are the only 3 accounting standards that we can say are exclusive to level 3. All the other accounting standards are in FR, and they are also applicable in CR. Okay, so that's it about that. Let's see. What else do I have? Okay. Precious laughing at the Banku and Tilapia thing. All right, so that's it about that in that particular case. Unfortunately, because of time, I'm going to be running out. I'll be coming back tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be back on the stream, and you're going to hit me with your subject, and then I'm going to give you key topics that we have to look out for. As I said, I mean, a lot of the things were on financial reporting for the most part today, because most of you, that is what you are asking me. So tomorrow we're going to be looking at some other subjects, and then whatever challenge that you have, I really want to help you in this season, in this period, so you can study. But it all depends on you. Okay? It all depends on you. And I say this always, it breaks my heart a lot if, for instance, my students, and most of you are studying under my mentorship, like you give assignments and people don't do the assignments. Or there is performance evaluation test and you know what they do? People jump on the call. When they see performance evaluation test, no, fine, they are gone. And sometimes I sit down and I'm like, wow, like what are you doing? And then the results come and they fail the exam. Because I'll see your results. You failed. And you keep doing the same thing. Right? You gotta discipline yourself. Just discipline yourself a little. And pass this exam. You don't have to take 5 years to be a chartered accountant. You can do it in a year. Now there are 3 examination dates. You can do it in a year. You can do it in a year. If only you are willing to make some sacrifices. So tomorrow, God willing, I'll be coming on the stream at 4:30 p.m. as we continue with this discussion. And I want to, provide you with some guidelines, key topics in various other subjects that you are writing, and whatever challenges that you have, want to quickly pick your brain and share some thoughts with you as we continue in this series. And then also, most importantly, tomorrow, I want you guys to come up with topics that you want me to be treating, because I think tomorrow I'll be gathering that as well. Then on Wednesday, I'll be gathering that as well, so that from I think Thursday or so or Friday, we will start teaching and solving questions on specific topics that you may have challenges with that you would want me to cover on the stream. So that's it about that. Catch you same time tomorrow as we continue with our discussion. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for sharing the videos, the like, and all the comments. Stay blessed. Catch you tomorrow.